Hey everyone, welcome to the June and Yukai show. Today we have Yukai chatting with us over in Miami. Yukai, what are you up to over there in Miami?
Yeah, so some of you know that I've been living in Taiwan for the last 3 years, but occasionally I still travel for speaker engagements, whatnot. So I'm in Miami to do a keynote speech at the Miami NFT Week, and I did it last week or last year for MetaBlocks, and it was a good event. So I'm here again, and then 2 weeks later I'll be doing another speech at Harvard in Boston, and that one is a event Harvard put together that's related to XR, which stands for virtual reality, VR, augmented reality, AR, and mixed reality, MR.
Ooh. Hey, you know what? We were going to talk about something else, but since you're going to be speaking about all these experiences and NFTs and virtual reality, why don't we talk a little bit about that and tell us, how is virtual reality going? Is it going anywhere? Augmented reality, what is the next thing in that space? Because since crypto had its kind of winter, we've been hearing less buzz about NFTs and artwork, and even Mark Zuckerberg is really lowering his investment in the metaverse. So, what's going on over there?
Yeah, I think it is. People use different terminology. So there's a bear, there's a build period, and there's a bull period, right? So the bull period is when everything's going well, monies are thrown at all the solutions and the solutions that haven't been built yet. And then the market kind of crashes and there's a build period where you start building solutions. And this kind of goes along with Gartner's hype cycle, right? If you've seen the Gartner's hype cycle, there's it usually things go up because of the hype and everyone's throwing money at it, and then there is the what they call a trial of disillusion. I think it's like, oh, it's not as good as we thought, and then and eventually it slowly comes back up because there's productivity. It's actually a useful solution. And so I think that's what happens in a lot of industries, and right now in crypto and in XR, so VR, AR. And I think the question is just whether this is something you see dominating or become very useful and powerful in society 10 years, 15 years from now. So, of course, the bull and build cycle is an optimistic saying, right? Because it assumes it doesn't die. It just assumes that it goes into the cycle. But it could die. I think a lot of things, though, if it would die, it would have died a long time ago. The first time it crashed when nothing was there and everyone's called, let's say, crypto a fraud and was used for underground payments. So if it didn't die that time and the crash 2 years later and the crash 2 years later, it's unlikely this is the time that it all falls apart when there's a lot more infrastructure and mindshare about it. Same with XR. I think all metaverse spending is reduced. XR headsets are reduced. Now, I think the HTC Vive XR Elite is probably one of the better headsets that are coming out. And first of all, I helped HTC. I didn't help this product, but in the past 2-3 years when I was helping HTC, uh, you know, because Meta's Quest 2 was so good, it was hard to compete on price and sometimes on available titles, whatnot. And then now with the XR Elite, it actually combines all things I learned before, and it is probably one of the most viable things to check out in XR. So I'm pretty excited about that. But like we mentioned, the industry right now is slowed down, and we'll kind of have to see when it bounces back, and when it does, who has them building and getting prepared.
Yeah, I have no doubt that virtual reality is going to hit at some point in time. Like you were saying, 10, 15 years from now. Yeah, I think it's going to be so good. The graphics are going to be so good. It's going to be so much more accessible that it's it's going to be a no-brainer, right? People want to play video games. People want to escape. They're going to put on those headsets and escape into a different world. That's fine. I think for the gaming aspect makes sense, maybe the traveling aspect. But let me ask you a different question, Yukai. What does that world look like for us? What does a world look like when we're all just in Wall-E, right? So a bunch of like fat people strapped to their chair, Ready Player One, right? Like we're literally talking about getting into something 10 years from now where we're kind of like Ready Player One,
Uh,
where the real world is sucky and I can just spend all my time in virtual reality. And I want to add one more thing. So the topic is not whether it's going to happen. I think we can debate that, but let's just assume it's going to happen because I think it will. So how do we, what is that world? Why do we want to be there? How can we prepare ourselves when we're already so consumed with our phones, so consumed watching Netflix and Hulu all the time? Imagine just virtual reality porn. I don't know, right? I haven't watched it, but I just assume guys don't need to have sex anymore. They can just go in there and you're basically, right, any person that they want to be. Like, what is that? Have you thought about this? Like, what do you think about that?
I think the more likely outcome is a AR powered feature where augmented reality, where it's not people go into the escapism all the time, but it actually helps you maneuver in the real world and makes the real world more interesting. I think VR will be used more for virtual training, which is what we're seeing right now. We're gaming, like you talked about, most likely pornography. Yeah, but it's basically you find moments to cut away from this world and do these things, right? And then you come back to the world. Whereas AR is the technology comes to your world and facilitates what you're doing. And I think a lot of companies are betting more on that. Of course, it's harder because it needs to kind of understand what's going on in your world, and it needs to be light. When you go around, the battery needs to be light. Are you wearing it on your head, or are you carrying it connected to your headset, right? And on all those challenges. But I think a lot of the big companies are betting big on AR.
So I'm more bullish on virtual reality. I have no bull. I'm a bear on augmented reality right now. And I want you to change my mind, or I hope to change my mind. And the reason for that is I don't see the use case other than just flashy stuff. Like, right, I can take out my phone and I'm like, oh, cool, I see this thing that is here in this wall.
No, it's not going to be a phone. It'll
Right,
be
but
glasses.
okay. So let's take it a step further. Okay, so
Okay.
let's take it a step further. And you're saying we have a device that we wear on our face at all times of the day, and we're going to experience augmented reality that way. I
Okay, so here's an example. You go
okay.
on a
So
date. You go on a
yeah.
date. It's analyzing who you're talking to in real time, and it's showing right there. The other person can see. You can see it. First of all the past boyfriends they've had, and the tendencies and all the problems, and
Oh God, I would hate
and
that.
you're saying
Wait, but are you
something.
saying it's like
You
it's
can
like
turn it off.
contact
You can
lenses?
turn it off. Yeah, you can be contact lenses too, or glasses. There are glasses where you can see on one side but not the other. Right now already, and it can say you're saying something, and it'll analyze her facial expression. It'll say you said that totally missed the mark. You need to ask about her cousin right now because she shared something about her cousin yesterday, and she feels deeply sorry about him. So it's real time information anywhere on the internet, like a chat GPT right there in your face at all times. You're walking on the street and then you're driving and it'll say, hey, you should turn left here because it's going to be a green light when you turn left, because if you go straight you'll hit a red light. You're opening the fridge, and in glasses it says, out of all the things in your fridge, these are the top three food items that you can make that fits your diet, your 16/8 diet and whatever low carb, and would you like to choose one of them? So any useful information right in your face. You go to a supermarket and you just say, hey, glasses, I have $27. What should I buy? And it's like, oh, well, with your budget and with your diet and the discounts in the supermarket right now, these are the 7 items you should buy.
Yeah, I guess that's like a step in between Neuralink, right? Which is what Elon Musk is working on. So you're basically saying just a faster way to get to the internet and get to some kind of answer. Instead of it being on your phone and you Googling it or going on ChatGPT and trying to find it, it's like it's happening instant.
It has vision.
And I think,
Yeah,
right,
it has vision and has processing, basically, and it has outputs on your face. Yeah.
I mean, the camera has vision too, right? So you would basically
Yeah.
just take a picture of it and then you can get it. So basically, you're saying a faster step to that. Yeah, I mean, it seems cool.
It's
It
useful.
seems cool.
It's basically any information you need right there when you need it without
But we already
moving.
have it, right, with the phone. It's just like you're saving a minute or 30 seconds. And I agree. Time is money. Like I said, I'm not disagreeing that information is useful. But basically, what you're saying is like the map, you're saving 30 seconds on your commute and on the like the fridge. I think that's, I know you're giving a lot of ideas, which I think are great. I think the dating one is really cool. I think that one is the one of the ideas you gave the most compelling. You're in a
Yeah,
business meeting.
let's yeah
You're trying to close
networking.
a deal. You- Yeah, any of that would be crazy interesting. I would say though, with anything, there's going to be privacy challenges, and I'm sure there's going to be an opt out. So I think I would assume most people would opt out, and you wouldn't be able to get their information in real time. So I think even the most useful use case, from what I've seen, right, from my work and what I've seen and what they're doing in EMEA and Europe and how privacy laws are changing, I guarantee you, if you come out with something like that, they're going to at least give people auto opt out, and then you would have to opt in order to be able to access their information like that in real time.
Sure. So you just deal with your groceries then.
Yeah, which is not as useful, right? Because
We're
that's my
just talking about
groceries.
what the
Like I
technology
just, I
can
just
do. So, there's going to be
no, I agree.
regulations
I
in
agree. I
places.
agree. That's what I mean. Like I don't.
Like
Virtual
your
reality, I'm all
bicycle's
there.
broken. Your bicycle's broken, and then you say, "Hey,
Yeah.
glasses, teach me how to fix this bicycle." It's like, all right, first pull this apart, and I'll show you. Like, okay, pull this apart, and then you become a mechanic. My car's broken. I don't want to go to a mechanic. Can you teach me how to fix this? And
So there's two
it'll.
parts, right? There's the augmented reality piece, but then before that has to happen like on your phone. Like your phone needs to be able to tell you, hey, you need to fix this. So it's actually the most useful part is being able to in real time take your camera out, show the bicycle, and then it tells you exactly how to fix it. Once that is done, then it becomes useful to have this kind of headset. So I agree, but I think the harder part is like having that real time tutorial on your phone.
Okay, so let's
I'm not
say
saying it's not going to
what's
happen,
let's say
but I
what's already
think
there.
that
When you travel a new country, you walk around, you wear these glasses, and everything's translated to a language you understand,
you can
including
do that right now, right,
yeah,
with
yeah,
your
yeah,
phone.
yeah, with your phone. But are you gonna hold your phone everywhere you walk and you have to take it out, right? When you don't understand, you take it out. When you don't understand, you take it out.
That's true.
Now
Yeah, the
you
convenience.
walk
Yeah,
around, and when people talk to you, you can read subtitles right below them. So subtitles, when you see text, it translates. So you honestly, most things uh, that are successful versus not successful is like 2, 3 more seconds per action. Like it's
it's a very good
inconvenient,
point.
right? So,
Yeah,
like if I'm walking in a foreign country and I understand the language, I just like unless I need to understand, like I need to go somewhere, do something. I'm not going to translate. I'm just going to
yeah,
walk by and be like, hey, 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 and walk away. But I'd feel so much better if my glasses just tells me what everyone's talking about and what I'm dealing with.
yeah. That'd be
Yeah,
super
like
useful. I
yeah, like
agree.
I said, the software is already available, and it's just about getting the hardware on your face that's comfortable and useful.
Yeah,
So I think that's more
I'm
useful
semi
and
in.
applicable than VR.
But I disagree. I think all that fades. Like these are all specific use cases which sound useful, but VR is like what the internet is built on. Video games, entertainment, pornography. And I think that is much bigger than the small use cases of translation or any of these other use cases. I think VR is the home of where you play video games, where you get your entertainment, and where you get your pornography. And those three things are going to dominate all of the internet.
Well, this could be
Wasn't there a
like
story?
2 to 4 hours a day, but then the rest of the hours that you're not sleeping, you're interacting with the real world. Not we're
Yeah,
not
but then you
counting
wouldn't
people who spend
interact, I
15.
don't think, with augmented reality, right? Like I don't think the primary way to interact with the real world would still be with augmented reality.
I just
Like
think
it's specific use case. I'm traveling to a new country, so
yeah,
I'm gonna buy these for that use case.
yeah. When you're traveling,
But I do that once a year, right?
when you're traveling, it's every moment while traveling. But I'm just giving you one example about how it's always like anything you see, anything around you, it could provide you value.
Okay, this is a good point. So let me challenge you on this. If you're saying what has the most use, right? Every day people go on Facebook, every day people go on Instagram, every day people watch YouTube and Hulu and Netflix. So virtual reality, if it replaces this entertainment, it will be used every day. However, on a normal day, let's see, how would I use augmented reality, right? I'm a married person with kids
Yeah, let's say you have a
living
newborn baby.
in Southern
You
California.
have a newborn baby. Your glasses tells you what should you be doing right now. The baby's crying. It analyzes, okay, the baby has a fever, temperature, all that stuff. Do this. And it's like, oh, you don't have to worry. It's like you have all the anti-panic information right there in front of you and what you need to do. The baby fell on the floor and it's
Yeah, I
and it
wonder.
say like this
Imagine your baby is on the
imagine
floor crying.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it will immediately say this is not damage that will affect them long term. This is a wound that will recover in likely 3 to 5 days, and you immediately feel like, oh,
So in that use
I'm
case,
not
right?
killing
First
my
of
baby.
all, yeah. First of all, it's not an everyday use case, right? But let's say, let's take this use case. I'm not wearing my glasses around my house, right? So when
If
my
it gives
baby
you
is crying,
valuable
I will go run to
information.
my baby and hold.
No, I'm
No, I
imagining
don't. I
like
don't think so. I disagree. I don't think.
everything you're doing, it's providing useful information to you at all times.
I don't. I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't think it's possible,
I
or
mean,
you don't
maybe
think people
for.
want it, or you don't think this technology can do that.
I don't think that use case is going to be useful enough that people will wear
Really?
their augmented reality
Because you're
at
not going
every
to go on your
second of every
phone to
day.
check. You're not going to go on your phone to check if your baby's almost dying or not, and you're not going to have time to contact a physician. So you wear your glasses and you run to your baby, and it says your baby's fine. You just need to do. You just to
No,
wrap.
but that's the thing,
wrap them
right?
in.
Like you're not. It's not a. I guess it's a vitamin versus a Band-Aid. Babies aren't dying left and right. At least in the U.S. Maybe there's a different use case in
No,
other parts
when
of the
you
world.
have a newborn
But in
baby,
the
you're
U.S., if your
panicking
baby's
about
crying,
everything. Everything's panicking, with the baby. And it's teaching exactly how to put the baby to sleep.
no,
You think it's not useful, or you think it's not
no,
possible?
I don't. I don't think it's that useful.
Really?
I don't
You've
think
had a newborn baby before.
that. I don't
If
think.
it gives you all the information right there at the right time for how to treat her. Not the baby's dying, right? The baby needs milk right now. The baby needs this. You need to do this right now. So you don't have a nurse right there telling you. You
But
don't have to
it's
Google
not,
it.
like we know that, right? But we don't need a nurse. You just feed the baby. I mean, it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. Of course,
Okay.
it's hard. But you feed the baby, you change the baby, you put the baby to sleep.
Okay. Well,
But you
you
don't
might be an
need-
excellent parent,
Yeah.
but a lot of parents out there, like mothers, I worked on a client that's about newborn moms. They're always worried that they're doing something wrong with their baby.
No, I agree. I agree. We're all worried. I agree.
So this tells you exactly what
And that's
to
why you
do
have a lot of
and
doctor
tell
visits.
tell you to worry or not to worry. Okay,
No, I'm
and
saying
then
you're
and
not
then
going
you
to wear
walk
your
away from
headset
the.
all the time.
It's just like, and then you, yeah. If it provides useful information like that everywhere you go, like you're talking about one use case, but I'm talking about 500 use cases in a single day, then it's useful.
Which is
You wear it
true. Okay,
everywhere.
so you're saying 500 use cases. I don't think in a normal day there are even 100 useful use cases.
Like right
that
now,
are actually,
we were talking about
Yeah.
what should we talk about, and then I could ask my glasses, and my glasses will just say, "Hey, here's some topics." What did we talk about
No,
before?
but this year-
I forgot what you said last Tuesday about the meeting, and immediately shows to me.
You're conflating that with like we can already if we had the technology we can already do it, then we would already be using it. You see what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
I'm not. I'm saying that it's
you're
the
saying
augmented
10
reality.
First of all,
case.
you're saying 10, 15 years from now. Second of all, we could get that. Otter's going towards that, right? So we're talking about software
True.
improving and hardware improving.
Yeah, even something like Otter, I wonder how useful.
And,
maybe
and
it
just
gets
like,
super
just
good,
like,
right?
Just like something like
action
Evernote
item, do this. Yeah.
was not as useful
Yeah.
on the desktop, but then it became more useful on the mobile because you can go anywhere you want and record it, right? So just because on desktop something doesn't work, suddenly there's a mobile platform and it becomes more useful. And so now, if AR hardware becomes more applicable, then the software will catch up to that.
I'm not saying AI is not useful. What I'm saying is to have, I'm specifically focusing on the concept of wearing something on your head all the time is not something that I'm buying right
And
now.
I'm saying that if
I
it
agree.
provides all this value every moment, then you like maybe you won't, but a lot of people would, I believe.
Here's the thing. Let's compare Apple Watch with Google Glass. No, this is a good point. I want you to hear this point out. Google Glass flopped. We can all agree there. Apple Watch has succeeded. I have an Apple Watch here. Something that really impresses me is that Apple Watch doesn't have a lot of apps. It tells the time. It keeps track of your heart rate, your exercise. But everyone has one. I am just so impressed when I go to my children's school. I look at their parents on their wrist, an Apple Watch. And something important to, I think we need to understand about people is the convenience and the aesthetics. Wearing a stupid glasses on your face that, right? Like, no, I'm not talking about normal glasses. I'm talking about like this thing that people can tell you're like looking at them or have
It
a
doesn't have
camera
to
on
look
them.
stupid.
Okay. So you're saying like just normal, right? Okay, so let's take it a step further. It just looks like normal glasses all day, every day. I think if you're in a world where everyone is wearing glasses all day and it's acceptable, I guess it's kind of like I think I would compare that to maybe masks. I think then you'll have a bipolar society where you have glass wearers and you have non-glass wearers.
It's gonna be like
And you have
people wear
people who
earphones
are,
versus people who don't wear earphones. They're considered rude. They're considered weirdos. You walk, you listen to your own music, right? And then over time, it became okay. And then there's cooler headsets, earphones that come out. There's ones that's more branded. You know, I think the AirPods when it first came out, everyone thought it was ugly and not socially acceptable. And now a lot of people use AirPods.
a lot of people use AirPods, wireless.
Yeah.
Wireless
So
pods.
you're talking about things that are like today, but you told me 10, 15 years. So I'm thinking 10, 15 years. But if you say today, yeah, next year, everything I said is stupid. It's false. I would agree with you. It's not happening. Like you tell me
Yeah, we
5 years,
can-
5 years, everything I said is trash. Okay, I completely disagree with what I just said. If you told me this is 5 years from now.
What I'm telling you is, I don't think though, I think everything you said is useful. I'm not saying it's not useful, but I disagree that the end product is produced through a headset on your face. Like, why not just have it be earbuds then? It's so
No,
much more
it
convenient
needs
than.
vision. It needs vision. So yeah, you can put the camera there too. But and it also needs to give you visual feedback immediately.
I mean, it can give you audio feedback. I'm just
Well,
pressure
and
testing the idea of
the
wearing.
convenience
Does
is
it
very
have to
important.
be in a headset?
Like why do you use Alexa or use Google? You Google Home. What do you call that?
I have both here. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you use that? You can just take out your phone and do it. And search. Why do you want to talk? Why do you want to use your voice to activate it?
Oh, it's more convenient.
Yeah. So it saves like 4 seconds. Right? And that's what we're talking about. Every moment. Like in your home, you just yell and you get value. So now it's the same thing, but just you can carry it wherever you go, and it's also visual, not just audio.
Yeah, I agree that the use cases you brought up are useful. I disagree. I still disagree that the actual mechanism of deployment is going to be a headset on your head. I think there should be other more elegant ways to, even the watch, right? If you're carrying the watch and you can just talk to it. I can talk to Siri, right, with my Apple Watch now, and I do it like, hey, set the timer for this. It's actually super convenient.
I mean,
like
the
that a lot.
headsets are looking a little better. Like, try googling the Vive Flow.
But it's not just like better. Like, I just feel like, I shouldn't say that. People wear glasses all the time in home,
Vive
right,
Flow
to be
just
able to
looks
see.
like
So it's not that much of a stretch.
Vive Flow just looks like sunglasses, and people like it. People like
Vive
it for
Flow?
its-
I haven't
yeah,
seen it.
Search for the Vive Flow, and people buy it for its form factor.
Oh yeah. What is this? Is this HR or VR or
This is
AR?
a VR headset, but it has some AR capabilities. But if it's the Vive I mean, Viflow is easier to search XR Elite, then that's AR, but AR is again a little too early. Yeah, and so it's, over time it gets better.
Yeah, I guess every moment of every day, you have this thing on your face that is constantly giving you feedback. It
Yeah,
would be.
it could read people's power levels.
What do you mean? Oh,
No, that
over
literally
9,000.
Yeah, that literally is AR device, right? They talk to each other through it. They scan the environment. It tells them where they go, and yeah, it's just useful. So
Then
they
eventually
don't
it
they
was
don't
useless.
they don't pull out a phone because people can just sense power levels and where people are at just by feeling with their
Yeah.
skins. Of course, it's become pretty useless at that point, and they can just
And you
talk
can
to each
hide your
other,
power level.
and you can
Yeah,
talk to each other
yeah.
through like some kind of like telekinesis mind thing.
Okay, let's compare this to, let's say somebody way back when was like, oh, the telephone is useless.
Sorry.
You
You know
think like,
what? There's a time
yeah.
where 19 and 20. Sorry, this Dragon Ball Z reference, but 19 and 20 came out, and they're like, oh, we can't sense the power levels. So 20 was just hiding in the rocks, running around. None of them could catch them because they didn't have power levels that could
Yeah,
be
yeah.
sensed because they're androids. That's when they should have brought the scouters. They can scout the
The
power
scout.
levels, of the robots, right? There's like power, like energy source right there.
Yeah,
They didn't
yeah.
use it when they should have used it. Yeah,
That's true. They probably had already destroyed all the scouters by
I'm
then.
sure Boma can invent anything they need. She invented a time machine when they needed
So was
it.
a genius inventor. I think we pressure test this, right? Like, I think we look at this through a design lens. So usefulness, right? So if we look 15 years down the line, and we can just say, hey, you can just know anything you want at any time. I'm like, oh, that's super useful. So, like, what are some products that hit and what are some products that didn't hit? Like, remember when the BlackBerry came out and people were looking at it's like, oh, no, sorry, not the BlackBerry. When the iPhone came out and there was BlackBerry and people were like, oh, I need a keyboard to type. I never want to type on this. Like, I can't sense where my fingers are. And it's like, well, there's smart typing, right? So you may not be able to type exactly what you want, but the keyboard or the operating system senses what you're trying to type and it'll autocorrect for you. Bam, right? What other complaints did the BlackBerry have? I think that was like the main complaint from BlackBerry. So I'm trying to think, are there any of these principles that are missing that we can extend 10 to 15 years from the future to understand what kind of products people will use, right? Apple Watch hit, AirPods hit, but the Google Glasses did not hit. Why?
It's a little early.
It was just not useful enough? What if Google Glass was as useful as you had said it was? Would it have hit?
I think it was early, and it didn't look stylish, and they didn't do a good job branding it. One of the things
I mean, they try to put it on like Victoria's Secret and all these other like supermodels were wearing it to try to make it look cool.
never really launched.
Right, I think it just wasn't useful.
It never was to the point where you could buy it. They never really launched.
I don't
the
think so
product.
either. I mean, to be honest, I don't know
You could never buy it
why they killed it.
and also because
I mean, obviously the market didn't want it.
It was a strange like I don't know if it's like an envy elitist thing. People call it those glass holes, where if you wear Google glasses, you're a glass hole because you're trying to prove how much better you are compared to everyone. But it's interesting because the PR branding thing, because Apple is the same thing, right? You buy Apple to have, a lot of people buy to have higher status. And so, but people
I think
don't
you just
have
look
that.
you look dumb. To be honest, you look dumb with that headset. But now imagine if that headset looked like normal glasses. And imagine it was as useful as you're saying it was. Would it have hit?
I also think it might be
so.
too
Okay,
early.
yeah.
It might be too early. The world needs time.
Well, early technology, or you mean like early society, like
Society.
to acceptable in society?
Society. Both technology also, but society.
But let's say today, right? The technology that you described is available now.
Mm-hmm.
I have my glasses that look exactly like your glasses, like normal glasses to be able to see.
Mm-hmm.
Except now they're able to listen and to see things and to give me instant feedback about everything that I'm doing. Would that hit today?
I think if there's something that gives you all the information you need right there, I think a lot of people use it. I think it'll be a successful product. It's not going to be more than half. But honestly, like if you look at the new generation, they don't care about privacy as much as all the regulators do. You know, they kind of
Well, based on certain surveys that I know about, privacy is actually more important for Gen Z
okay, but they don't
than
show
millennials.
that. But they reveal so much about themselves all the time.
What do you mean? Like you mean like they film themselves?
Yeah, they put themselves on all social media. Like before, putting anything on social media was like creepy, right? Remember, when Facebook
Oh, I see
first
what you're
launched,
saying.
when Facebook first launched the Facebook feeds, like you'll have your home feed, right? People got pissed
Yeah,
off. There were a hundred
I
thousand
remember. Yeah,
Facebook groups that said this is a violation of privacy, and Facebook's like, wait, this is just the information you can see on your friend's profile page. We just gathered that in one spot. But they're like, no, this is
yeah,
over the
yeah.
line. People were like, again, they didn't just complain. They created 100,000 groups to boycott this feature, the news feed, right? And back then Facebook wasn't even that large, so 100,000 groups was a lot. This was still in the college student days, and now if you don't have your Facebook feed, people are upset. They're going to be complaining, right? Your home feed, where's that? So people went from completely unacceptable to acceptable to a given to if you don't have it, people are pissed.
So when I mean privacy, what I mean is more like usage of your data. So Gen Z is more aware and less likely to want to share their data with companies in order for it to be repurposed for other means.
Sure. And
So by privacy, that's what I mean. Yeah.
sure. And
But
the
by privacy,
data,
if you mean like taking,
yeah. So the data would just be used for yourself with ways you agree with.
yeah, but that's what I mean. I think Gen Z is more privacy sensitive than millennials
Yeah. And so, but what we're talking
in that
about
way.
does not need to violate that new set of privacy standards.
I lost track. What was the
Because we're
point of
we're
talking about
talking
Gen Z?
about because privacy is a huge concern. Therefore, the AR glasses may not work as well. And I'm
Oh, that
saying,
example, right? Like the
yeah,
dating example. The dating example, yeah.
yeah, and you could say
No, I
like,
agree. I think there's a
yeah, and so some of it is information about the person privately, right? The other information would just be like, this person is blushing, therefore, do this.
yeah. I think what'll end up happening in the person use case, which I agree seems super useful. I think people could opt out. Like if your software detects this face and it's this person, it just will not give you information about them. Like
Yeah,
you could probably just like opt out
sure.
of that. But that doesn't mean there's other useful use cases that you're talking about. But I think again, what I'm most interested in is people who are listening to this and they're trying to build new technologies.
Yeah.
How can they think ahead to in terms of when they're building a product and to know is this going to be useful for the market? And I go back to the
Yeah.
example, Google Glass versus Apple Watch, and BlackBerry typing versus iOS keyboard. And I know there's many other things that made iOS successful, App Store, Internet, right? All these features. But what I'm saying is everyone's making fun of you. Oh, that's not going to work because of this. I'm making fun of it now. Oh, no one's going to want to wear your headset. But how can you try to de-risk and make sure that you can build something that the market accepts?
From a software standpoint?
Yeah, software or hardware.
Yeah. Well, of course, designed to be stylish and not look silly. Have good storytelling. Get through the regulators. I do think at the beginning it will be about niche use cases, like the ones we talk about. You go to travel a different country. You're doing training, right? You're how people are at factory working, and it's like, okay, always turn it this. It tells you how to operate the machine in the factory, right? Or a doctor doing surgery. The AR is like assisting the
But like
surgery.
at that point,
Okay?
10 to 15 years from now, don't you think the Tesla bot will then be operational so we don't need people to do it anyways? So then, like, see, it's just going back to even those use cases. We don't know what's going to happen 10, 15 years from now, but every single use case where it's so easy for a user to do that they just have to follow instructions, theoretically, the Tesla bot should just take over, and we're just doing
Elon Musk
actual
did say like
creative
a
work.
plumber's work is going to be really, really hard to use a Tesla bot to do. But with the AR glasses, maybe it's a lot easier.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and here's another use
Oh,
case,
then you
right?
wouldn't need to hire a plumber.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
would
you
just
wouldn't. Yeah,
do it
your
yourself.
glasses replace the plumber. Here's another use case, and this is something already available on the internet, right? You go to a store, physical store. You're wearing glasses. You look at everything, and it tells you if this is high or low compared to the normal prices. Like if you expect the price to go down or up. You know,
That
so
is
it's like
useful.
no, not
Okay,
now.
you're
It's not the
selling me on
time.
this. Recently, this past week, we have this reverse osmosis water that we drink here, and I felt like this plumber came in and messed some things up. So I texted the person who installed the reverse osmosis, and he said, "Hey, shoot me a video and send it to me of the installation to make sure that everything's correct." So I did that, and it took up 5 minutes of my time, or even more, maybe like 15 minutes to text back and forth with him, to take the video, to send it to him, to get back a message saying, "Hey, everything looks good, but if you really want me to, I can go there and see it in person." And yeah, if I can put on my glasses for that use case, it seems pretty useful. Like for it to tell me, "Oh, everything looks
Oh,
fine,"
and
or
you
"This
have,
part
and
doesn't
you and
look
you
good."
have both hands to do things.
Yeah. I agree. So I've always agreed that it's useful, but I still feel like I would be like, "Oh, let me get my
Yeah,
glasses for
like
this use case."
navigation, right? We know if you hold your phone, it's kind of inconvenient, but if it's there in front of you, wherever it is, it's easier, right? Now it could be your phone mounted, it could be your your uh,
Yeah.
your Tesla having it, but also it could just be you know, it drawing a line like, hey, that road, turn. And actually, it'll be nice because sometimes, when there's these crazy, two becomes like three becomes two, and then one curves, those crazy streets. You look at your navigation app, and it's really hard to figure out exactly what you want to, where you should go. But if your AR glasses can just draw a green line like here, 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 and you see right where your car needs to go, it's actually a bit better.
Yeah, but in 10 to 15 years, it should just all be full self-driving. So I agree with the sentiment, but in 10 to 15 years, it should just be all
I
full
don't think
self-driving. So
everyone's
let me say
car. I
this.
don't think everyone's car is going to be full self-driving at that point.
I think so.
I think your car
I will
is,
push back on that.
but I don't think everyone's car will be.
I think in 15 years, everyone's car, or okay, let's say 90% of the US.
I mean, there are people who drive cars that are 15 years old.
This is true. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying, like close to 80%. Let's say 90%.
And
you
let's
know
say,
what? I'll
and
say
let's
this.
say, so this is not 5 years from now, right? This might be 10 years from now. So you're saying everyone in
No,
15
we're saying
years,
10 to 15.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that 5 years later, we don't know. Not necessarily a lot of people will be self-driving, right? So 10 years, let's say a lot of people will be. So you're saying everyone 15 years from now, they will throw away their 5-year-old cars just so they could have a self-driving car. Like 80%.
I'm saying,
you think 80% of the people will throw away their 5-year-old cars?
I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I think I'm also looking from the perspective of robo-taxis. That the convenience of being able to be driven to a certain location, if full self-driving all works, which we're all hoping that it does work, is going to be so great by 2030, hopefully. 2035 we're talking about, right?
Sure.
10 15 years
Sure.
from now,
2035.
that there's no point in owning a car, putting in gas. There's no, like, you can't even put in gasoline anymore. So basically in 15 years you cannot even, there's all this regulation going in that you can't even have a gasoline car anymore. Maybe there won't even be gas stations anymore. There won't be car dealerships anymore.
Think
Where are you
about
going to
this.
fix your car?
15 years ago is when we graduated college. Do you think that much changed in infrastructure in 15 years?
Well, there haven't been full self-driving cars in
But
15 past
anything
15
like
years.
just throwing away the gas stations, like
Yeah, if there's
infrastructure doesn't
nobody
change that
putting in
much.
gas.
Like 15 years, it went from the iPhone 1 to the iPhone 13. or something. What is it right now? All right. It went from
14, yeah,
normal
whatever.
computing to cloud computing. It went from no electric cars to a lot of electric cars.
So let's talk
But
about two things here.
it's not
There's a
that big
step
of a
change,
change.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's a huge step change. Full self-driving is a huge step change. And so if no one is buying gas cars anymore, then gas stations can't be in business because no one's filling up anymore, right? If people don't have combustible engines anymore, you don't have as many people that need to service those combustible engine cars. So then that whole industry basically implodes. If you have all these Tesla semis that are delivering things for cheaper and faster, and now they're self-driving, so all of a sudden you don't have truck drivers anymore. I think it's a huge step change. But let's think back. Let's think back 15 years ago.
Yeah.
We were in our early 20s. What has changed since then? What has there been any step changes in the past 15 years? You know what happened in the past 15 years? I think the biggest thing was the gig economy. That exploded like crazy. DoorDash and Uber and Lyft and Airbnb and YouTube, of course. So basically,
Smartphones.
anybody could be a creator, anybody could be a participant. Of course, right? And so all that enablement of smartphones was that step change in the past 15 years. Everything that came out of the iPhone. Was that a step change? I think so. I think the way we communicate now, the way we FaceTime now, it's so natural now to FaceTime people. Everyone does it.
Okay. Solar
And
panels. I remember when we were in college, they were saying green is the new way to go. Solar panels should be everywhere, right? And 15 years
yeah,
later, we've made progress, but it wasn't like, all right, everywhere, the whole world, everyone's using solar panels, right? Because it's infrastructure. It costs a lot of money to replace, to change buildings, to do those things. A lot of people still like to use their
but what I'm saying,
20-year-old infrastructure.
oh, I agree. What is it? In the US, 10 million cars get replaced every year. Maybe I'll have this number wrong. And over 10 years, like all cars are the majority of cars are replaced. I could be completely wrong about that. But that's how you're thinking about it, right? You're thinking about it, if somebody buys a car 5 years from now and it's a gas car, which is strange. Like I think 5 years from now, most car purchases are going to be electric vehicles. I do think that. But if you have a gas car at your home right now, why would you use a self-driving car to go to the grocery store? It's very fair. I think a lot of people will be stuck in their old ways, and it's just convenient, right? I don't want to change. So then now we're just looking at what's that curve of change. So in 10 years, I'm sure we can Google this, but if in 10 years, a full cycle of cars usually changes hands, you have to buy a new car. I think within 15 years, we can safely say, yeah, I think 80% of the vehicles or higher are going to be electric. And once full self-driving happens in the next 5 years, I hope, we'll see, I think that is going to be a huge
Okay.
game changer.
All right.
Yeah.
I think you could be completely correct. So let me just go back to the original point of when things are right in front of you, it's more convenient, right? In today's world, so there's value when things are
Yeah.
right in front of your face.
Yeah. Right.
AR.
Imagine commuting to Los Angeles from it's like an hour commute, and I don't have to drive, so I can just work on that commute. Super convenient, right? I mean, that's just like a simple thing that I think could be a great game changer. Imagine traffic
Okay.
dissipating.
So in your mind of where the future's at, self-driving and electric cars, absolute, and then VR, most likely, and then AR,
VR is absolute.
possibly not. We'll have to see.
No, I'm sold. You sold me on the AR.
Okay.
Did you? Yeah, I was completely sold on the AR when sometimes you have to think about it in your own use case about like the plumbing thing. I would say this. In this example, I'm still not sold that I would wear it 24/7. I am sold completely on its usefulness of like, oh, I need to use it. But I'm not sold on like, all hours of the day. I'm just wearing it. I still feel it's
Well,
useful.
because you've never been a glasses wearer,
wear-
so you can't imagine yourself wearing glasses the whole day. A
I
lot of
wear
people
sunglasses. I wear sunglasses all the time.
do. Okay. It's true. But and
I
then
wear
you put it on,
sunglasses all the
and you
time.
put it on when you need it, right? When you are
Yeah. So that's how I like.
when you
Okay,
want to
so
look cool.
there will be glasses wearers and there's
Uh-huh.
sunglass wearers. So there will be two types of users. Some people just wear it 24/7. I agree. Like AirPods, I
Mm-hmm.
only wear these when I'm listening to music or I'm on a call, and then I'll take it off. But there's plenty of people that I see just wearing it all the time, and you're talking to people wearing your AirPods, and it's just
Yeah. Okay.
convenient. So
Okay. So
I don't, yeah.
we'll wrap up with some concrete things. This is very important because what prevents people from wearing AirPods all the time is what also prevents AR glasses from fully being that hey you wear every single minute, and that's battery. Okay, power, and so you don't want to wear a big battery on your face because then it's heavy, right? So
Uh huh.
either you wear it for an hour or 2 hours, maybe max 3 hours, which is a long time depending on how much it's processing. Then you put it down and it's charging. You put it back on afterwards, or it somehow is tethered. It's connected. It's line connected to a battery somewhere else, which is less convenient also. And that overall makes it more difficult for that feature. That's a technical challenge where just the like even Tesla says, right? Elon Musk says the total amount of batteries we have in the world is a limitation for Tesla. So I think that's going to be something that people need to overcome before we realize what we just talked about. For VR, it's easy. You just connect to your computer and just have power
Yeah.
the whole time. In AR, you have to solve that problem.
But I would say even if my AirPods had power 24/7, and even if we could guarantee that me wearing this doesn't damage my brain for wearing this 24/7, I still wouldn't wear it 24/7. Like I just feel it's rude to wear this while talking to people. I feel that I just don't like the aesthetics if I'm not actively using it. Like if I'm in the grocery store listening to the music, hell, I'll wear it. If I'm not, I'm gonna pop it off and I want to hear my world. If somebody's coming at me from behind and gonna choke me out, I need to hear that. I need to be spry.
You need to hear your choking sound. I want to hear myself choke. I'm gonna
Yeah.
take off my.
Well, I like this one. I really like this episode because I think it was the first episode where we disagreed and we challenged each other on certain things.
Yeah.
And I hope people found that fun and useful. I don't have all the answers. And Yukai will convince me. I'll convince Yukai sometimes. And I think that's the beauty of it. Also, your upload hasn't changed from 16% in a long time. So I'm worried. But I have faith that this will eventually work.
No, because I'm at an Airbnb where the internet is like eight per second,
Oh,
eight
okay, so it's
megabits
just
per second.
slow,
So
yeah.
I think I'm recording the same speed I'm uploading.
Oh, so you're just stuck in the middle in like equilibrium.
Maybe. I hope. So we'll see. We'll see if this conversation you
Yeah.
liked a lot, whether it's gonna make it into the collection or not.
Oh, I really like this conversation. And next time we'll do the consulting one. I think we'll have a really good conversation there. And you know
Are
what? I would
consultants
say
useless? Are they trash? Is the topic.
no. We're hiring like a team to go after UCLA, right? So then I shouldn't say that they're not useful. I think
No,
there
but
can be a lot of
I
useful.
echo
So I
your
have to think about
sentiment.
my angle.
I
Yeah.
don't think I'm like you. I don't know if I've ever hired like a vendor, contractor, consultant. That's like a team, right? That's like blew my mind. That's wow, they
Yeah.
just did amazing work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyway, that's another
I feel like
episode.
most vendors are just like into make the money, produce a product, and then go on to the next client. I feel like that's how it just feels.
You got to figure out how to find the
I
real
don't know.
deal. Yep.
Yeah, but always nice to talk to you, Yukai. Everyone, thanks for listening. We're here to give our thoughts, share something of value to the world. Maybe next time we'll talk either about consultants or again how to be productive. Many topics to talk about.
Yep. Jun and Yukai signing off.
Signing off.